Today's my refeed day and also the first weekend after finishing my first college term, so I decided to do something a bit special. It's been a long time since I was last able to cook and eat a nice cut of steak, so I went to the store to pick up a ribeye, which is a slightly more expensive cut that has a nice marbling and can achieve a beautiful crust. My only issue was that I had no mode of transportation, which meant I had to perform dreaded cardio and walk to the grocery store. After a slight setback, and by setback I mean walking for 7 miles, forgetting the steak at the grocery store, then going back again to retrieve it, I finally have this ribeye here in front of me, and it looks absolutely delicious. So enough talking, let's get to cooking. The first thing that we're going to begin preparing for this steak dinner is the side dish fondant potatoes. This is my favorite way to eat potatoes due to the golden brown crust, the visual appeal, and yes, they have a fancy name, which is cool. First thing to do is preheat the oven to 350 degrees, then we're going to need a few red potatoes. Normally I would use russet potatoes, but red is all I have, and I think they'll work fine. We're going to remove all the skin, and I'm just going to use a knife because that's what I have available. And after the skin is removed, we're going to cut off the ends, making somewhat of a cylindrical shape. Then they get to take a nice cool bath for around 5 minutes to remove starch from the outsides. This will allow the potatoes to really crisp up when we cook them. Alright, time's up. Unfortunately, I don't have a cast iron, so we're just going to use this pan that is oven safe. We'll throw some vegetable oil in there over high heat, and once the pan is nice and hot, we'll add in our potatoes flat side down, then reduce to medium heat. We're going to season with salt and pepper, and those will crisp up for around 5 minutes until we flip and do the same to the other side. And to be honest, those came out a lot better than I was hoping, which is always a good feeling. Alright, as these cook, I'm going to go in with a paper towel and just remove any excess oil from the pan, and then we're going to replace it with butter and rosemary to really elevate the flavors. And then next, we're going to pop those in the oven for around 45 minutes. And after doing that, move over to the piece de resistance, the steak, temporarily. First, it's important to generously season our steak with salt and pepper, and we'll let that sit at room temperature for around 45 minutes. This will help the steak to cook more evenly and allow it to retain moisture. Alright, back to the potatoes. After those are done, we'll pour the rosemary butter over the top for even more of that flavor and let those sit while we finish preparing and cooking our steak. Alright, so we're going to get our pan, and unfortunately, again, I don't have a stainless steel or cast iron skillet, but this will do the trick. Vegetable oil over high heat, and once hot, just like the potatoes, we'll lay our steak down in the pan to sear, which will be about 2 to 3 minutes, so that we develop a dark brown crust without burning our steak. I also forgot to mention that I prefer my steaks on the rare side. Some make fun of me by saying that my steaks are still moving when I eat them, and so since most prefer medium rare steak, I will be trying to get a nice medium rare to satisfy the people. You're welcome. So let's go ahead and flip our steak over, of course taking a minute to admire the beautiful crust we've created. And next, let's prepare to baste. For this, we'll need some rosemary, crushed garlic so that we can really get some of that nutty flavor, and a couple tablespoons of butter. Throw it all in, then begin basting the steak. We want as much flavor as possible, so we're just going to continue spooning the rosemary, garlic, and butter over the top for around 1 to 2 minutes. We're going to pour all the basting ingredients over the top, then let that sit for at least 5 minutes, after which we'll come back, cut the ribeye against the grain, and let's see, very nice medium rare steak. I was honestly pretty worried about messing that up, so it's definitely a huge relief. And now let's go ahead and plate everything super nicely before we dive in. Alright, we're back. It looks absolutely beautiful, definitely one of the better dishes I've ever made in my life. I'm super excited to jump in and taste this delicious, hopefully delicious steak. And now I just want to dive right in and eat the food. And it tastes absolutely amazing. Both the steak and fondant potatoes turned out very nice. I will definitely be making them again.